Okay, so on this lesson, we are going to focus on geometric sequences. Okay, and geometric sequences now, instead of adding or subtracting, we're going to be multiplying or dividing. Okay, and what we need to find in order to help us do that is the common ratio. Okay, so with the common ratio, we basically are multiplying one number to go to the next and to go to the next term. Okay. Um, we're gonna go over these three examples, and the instructions say find the missing value or values in the sequence, then state the common ratio. Okay, which is what we're going to go ahead and do. Okay, so the first sequence is 3, 9, 27, 81, blank, blank, blank. Okay, so we're going, in order for us to find the common ratio, what we do is we're going to divide. Okay, so we're gonna pick a number and divide it by the previous number. So in this case, we can choose 9 divided by 3, or 27 divided by 9, or 81 divided by 27. As a matter of fact, we should do all three just to make sure that we get the same number and the common ratio is the same. Okay, so we're gonna start with 9 divided by 3. And on this one, when you work on this, make sure that you guys are using the equation tool. That way, when you click the division sign, the little line with the question mark as well, it can do a fraction like this. And this is the ratio, okay? Because it's from 1 to the next number. Okay, so 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. Then 27 divided by 9 is going to give me 3 as well. And then we have the next one, 81. We're going to divide it by 27. So 81 divided by 27, that gives me 3. So that indicates to me, if you notice, all three gave me 3, 3, 3. That tells me that the common ratio is 3. Okay? So now that we know that the common ratio is 3, we're going to be using that to find the next terms. So we start with 3 multiplied by 3, and that gives me 9. 9 multiplied by 3 gives me 27. 27 multiplied by 3 gives me 81. 81 multiplied by 3 is going to give me the value for the first missing number, which in this case is 243. So 243. And okay, now 343 multiplied by 3 gives me the 243 multiplied by 3 gives me the value of the next term, which is 729. A little bit. And then we're going to do 729 multiplied by 3, which is going to give me the value of the last term here, which is 2187. We're going to move on to the next example, which is blank, -2, -4, -8, blank, 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 and -128. Okay, so again, I'm going to begin by dividing this the -4 by the previous number, which is -2. And I'm going to do 4 divided by -2. And let me put the negative. So the reason why I didn't put the negative right away is because I'll show you what happens next with the next one. So -4 divided by -2, that gives me +2. Okay, and then we have the next one, -8 divided by the previous number, which is -4. I'm going to do -8 look what happens when I'm using this, divided by -4. So the equation 2 moves my negative and leaves it out here, and I don't want it there. I want it next to the 8. That's why I type it afterwards, because I still have to go and fix it anyway, and I don't want to do that. So -8 divided by -4, that gives me +2. So that tells me that since both of them gives me 2, that indicates to me that the common ratio is 2. Okay, so now let's do this next part. So -2 multiplied by 2 gives me -4. -4 multiplied by 2 gives me -8. -8 multiplied by 2 gives me -16. -16. Too big. Okay. -16 multiplied by 2 gives me -32. So that's my next term here. -32. -32 multiplied by 2 gives me -64. And that completes my second example. Oh, actually, no, it does not. I have to find this one. Okay, so now this one, to find the first term that's missing here, we have to do the opposite. So if we're multiplying by 2 every time, that tells me that we're going to be dividing by 2. Okay, so in this case, now I'm going to do -2 divided by 2, and that gives me -1. So then the first term is -1. And the third example here, we have blank 125, 25, 5, blank, and blank. Okay, so we're going to find the first, we're going to divide 25 by the previous number, which in this case is 125. So 25 divided by 125, that gives me, and I'm gonna go to decimals on this case so that I can show you what I'm talking about and how to do this one. Okay, so we're doing 25 divided by 125. That gives me 0.2. But when we type our common ratio, we never type decimals. We always go to fractions. Okay, so we're gonna put here that, click on that fraction, and that gives me 1/5. So it's 1/5. Now I'm gonna do the next one, which is 5 divided by the previous, which is 25. So 5 divided by 125, that gives me, I'm gonna go to decimals again so that you guys can see. Oh, actually, you weren't able to see the previous one. 5 divided by 25, that gives me 0/2. And if I click on this, I get the fraction 1/5. So it's the same thing. Okay, so back on my worksheet, that gives me 1 is equal to 1/5. That's the common ratio. Okay, now I'm gonna, since I got the same answer for both of them, I said that the common ratio is 1/5. Okay, and when we have a common ratio like this, it's basically telling us that we are dividing. Okay, so if we do 125 divided by 5, I get 25. 25 divided by 5, I get 5. 5 divided by 5, that's going to give me 1. And 1 divided by 5, that gives me 1 over 5. So I can type that in there, 1 over 5. And on this one, like, it's your choice of how you want to do it, honestly, because so again, it's like we're dividing, right? So if you want to think of it just by multiplying, then it works the same thing. Now we're gonna do 125 multiplied by 1 over 5, and we get the same thing. Let me show you on decimals. So 125 multiplied by 1 over 5. 1 over 5, we get 25, which is the next term. Now to find the next one, we do 25 multiplied by 1 over 5, which gives me 5. The next term in the sequence. 5 multiplied by 1 over 5, that gives me 1. And 1 multiplied by 1 over 5, I get 0.2 for one fraction, so that is 1 over 5. That is basically the terms that we have on our sequence. Okay, so we can think of it by multiplying the common ratio or by dividing. Look, 125 divided by 5, 25, which is the exact same thing. So either way works the same thing. Okay, so now we still need to find the first term in the sequence. So if we were dividing by 5, then now we're going to be multiplying by 5 because we always work backwards. So we're going to do 125 multiplied by 5. 125 multiplied by 5, and that gives me 625, which is my first term. 625. Okay, now that completes our last example.